Hello everyone, it's me Rizzyrez. Vilgax. Easily the most recognizable villain in Ben 10, and one of the most beloved characters in the whole franchise. Well, not all of his versions though. Specifically, his classic series one seems to be put above the rest when talking about their favorites. It seems like with every new installment of the franchise, fans seem to have less and less interest in the character and tend to like him a lot less as a result. Everyone seems to gravitate towards the classic series Vilgax and usually depict it as the best one. Today, I'm going to take a deep dive into that topic and figure out why classic Vilgax just works over all the other versions. Be sure to like and subscribe so we can hit 1,000 subs, and yeah, let's get into it. So before we get into the actual analysis of the character, let's give him a little backstory or a quick little timeline for the people that aren't really too educated on the character. We will now begin the Vilgax timeline. So firstly, Vilgax is a Chimera sui generis and was introduced in the first ever episode of Ben 10 in Season 1 of Classic. Due to his ship getting damaged in the same episode, he had to go under recovery and made small cameos every now and then. Then came episode 13 of Season 1, aka the season finale titled Secrets, where he made his first on-screen appearance with Ben. They scrapped a little bit and Villy went somewhere else. And oh yeah, just like every other character in the series, he wants the Omnitrix. He doesn't show up again until the Season 2 finale titled Back with a Vengeance with his team up with Kevin Levin. In this episode, he takes Ben to the Null Void and tries to take the Omnitrix from him again, but fails. Good job, Villy, you're 0 for 2. Then he got thrown into space in Soto and blew up in Goodbye and Good Riddance, although Goodbye and Good Riddance isn't canon, so I don't know if it counts. Alright, let's go a little quicker for the rest of these. He doesn't show up again until the first episode of Alien Force Season 3 titled Vengeance of Vilgax Part 1. He tries to challenge Ben for the planet but got whooped, and he did something in the Secret of Chromastone. Honestly, I don't even know what the hell happened in this episode. It's like a fever dream. I don't know how I was able to air. And then he again gets whooped by Ben in the final episode of Season 3 of Alien Force titled The Final Battle. Oh yeah, and he turns into a giant squid, which leads us to Ultimate Alien, where he reappears in Season 3. He gets worshipped by a god by a dimension-traveling cult while in a war between knights and ninjas. He takes over the power of a god and then gets whooped by Ben again. Jeez, Villy, your track record is not looking very good. And honestly, in Omniverse, there's a few things that happen with him, but none of them are really too important because he wasn't really the main focus of the show. He gets malware armor and turns into Vilgax and fights Ben and loses. And he also blows up the multiverse, but, you know, who cares about that? So yeah, that's the story of Vilgax in a nutshell. Now, there are a multitude of reasons as to why people favor the classic series Vilgax over the rest, and the first one I think comes from the design. The classic series design was mysterious, but also very intimidating. It gave us a sense of fear. Like, if he just showed up in an episode with no explanation, everyone would lose their shit. One of the cooler features of classic series Vil is that his mouth is covered up. And my theory here is that a character in like a fiction series or franchise or whatever, if they have a menacing voice or like a very intimidating voice and their mouth is covered up by like a mask of some sort, then that makes the character instantly much cooler. Some examples of this being Bucky Barnes from the MCU, Bane from the DC Universe, Soldier 76 from Overwatch 1, and also
Kakashi from Naruto.
Vilgax just fits the big bad persona so well with this one design. His color scheme also makes him a lot better of a design. Because all the other ones going further give him like the darker green color, this one goes for the lime green with the dark green accents on his tentacles, and in my opinion it suits much better because, well, I don't know, the dark green, it looks too similar to other things like swamp fire and just like vines and grass in general. And now I think it's time to acknowledge the incredible performance done by Steve Blum in the classic series. His voice is just so crisp and piercing, and it's just so I love it. James Remar does a good job at doing Vilgax in UAF, but he doesn't really sound too menacing like an alien, and sounds more like a generic voice for like a character with a really deep voice. I feel like D. Bradley Baker could have done his voice, or even Vilgax's voice could have replaced Waybig's or Humongosaur's voice, and it wouldn't really sound too unnatural.
Hey, ugly! Waybig! Are you ready to die, Ben?
Now, Steve Blum does voice Villy in Omniverse, but it's kind of hard to take him serious in that show because, like, in some scenes, yes, he blows up the multiverse and like has a 1v1 with Ben with like Vilgax. But then in other scenes, he's just running away from Marvriddle. And that's mainly just to blame Omniverse's goofy manner, but we'll get onto that later. Plus, his mouth in Omniverse look really ugly. Like, yes, it does look like an alien mouth, and it does look way more natural for a character like him to have a mouth like that rather than UAF where he just had normal human teeth. But come on, man, do you not have like toothbrushes over on Vilgaxia? Now that I'm thinking about it, do aliens even have healthcare? Or insurance? Is that a dumb question? The next thing that separates Classic Vilgax apart from the rest is his power set and abilities. In Classic, he was very, very simple, similar to Vayne. He was strong and could get stronger. That was it. But then with Warlord Vilgax, he goes around and takes over 10 worlds and collects the powers and abilities from the strongest fighter on that planet. So he's just got a bunch of random one-off abilities. These abilities include a sword, which he can now do all kinds of weird stuff with it, Darkseid's eye lasers, flight, this a knockoff Infinity Gauntlet, and a gun that apparently he never uses, but it's still in some of its official art. So yeah. See what I mean? They just keep trying to overcomplicate things. And again, I'll go back to the design on this one. Warlord Vilgax, it's just so plain. Like, there's not really much detail added to him. His head is like all one color, it's all the same green, which, I mean, if you're taking into account what people usually look like, yes, their head would usually be the same color if you wouldn't have hair. But I would expect his tentacles to at least be a different color at the bottom. But, I don't know, who am I to judge squid anatomy? The next thing that separates Classic Vilgax from the rest is his motivations and the stories that he's in. See, in the Classic series, it was very clear to see that he wanted the Omnitrix because, face it, who didn't? I mean, it's a level 20 tech device on Earth that was being wielded by a child, so obviously it would be an easy target. But the thing is, though, that they don't really stray away from this in the future. He just wants the Omnitrix. Then when he saw in Secrets that the Omnitrix was being wielded by a child, it strengthened his goals even more because he thought that Ben was unworthy to have it.
A child? The Omnitrix is in the hands of a mere child?
As well as in Secret of the Omnitrix. However, in the future though, in Alien Force Season 3 where he reappears, he has the same goals of just wanting the Omnitrix. The first time was to conquer Earth, and the second time was to like power his AI army or something. I don't know. Alien Force Season 3 doesn't make sense. Because we've already seen the story done before and much better as a matter of fact in Classic, it seems just kind of redundant to do it again. Plus, since he briefly showed up in little cameos in Season 1 of Classic before his lead up to like actually meet Ben, it made it a lot better for the pacing of it. But in Season 3 of Alien Force, he scraps with Ultimos, takes his powers, flies to Earth, and just tries to scrap with Ben and take over the Earth. There's no build-up, it's all in one episode. So it just seems just kind of put on us randomly, especially in a season premiere. Although I will say that I quite like how he is introduced in Ultimate Alien because it directly follows up off of the weird ending of Alien Force Season 3 where he's a giant squid and he gets washed up onto shore and like he gets found by like this circus guy, and yeah, I like it. When he returned in Omniverse, it also just seemed kind of random. He showed up in this random episode of Season 3 where he's in jail and Ben's just kind of hanging out with him, and it's very odd, and I don't know why this episode was made like this, but I don't know. It was very strange to see this because when I think of Vilgax, all I can think of is the Classic series version where he was willing to chop off a 10-year-old's arm just to get a watch. See, in Classic, his stories were done much better. He gets built up in Season 1, meets up with Ben in the finale of Season 1, and then goes somewhere else. Goes in the Season 2 finale and teams up with one of Ben's greatest villains, Kevin Levin, to try and take the Omnitrix again. And then he shows back up again in a movie and a non-canon episode. But it all kind of works together and it's very nicely paced and he's not like overdone. However, in Alien Force, we get more of him in one season and frankly like 4 episodes than we do of him in the entire Classic series. If you're not counting the movie, of course. This brings me on to my next point, which is kind of the tone. This is a main problem with Omniverse, where with some things I can somewhat excuse it because that's the point of the show. It's not supposed to be taken hyper seriously. He just kind of randomly showed up like every other villain in that show. Just whenever there's like an episode, he just shows up and then that's it. Now with a lot of things in Omniverse, I can somewhat excuse it, but with one of the most beloved characters of the show, the fans expected a little more. In Classic, he didn't really need a reason to be threatening, he was just scary as is. But then we get scenes in Alien Force Season 3 like this.
I got you the kiddie meal. so don't let him know you're over 8.
And yes, there are some people who like it, and in fact I've kind of grown accustomed to it, but the general consensus is that people don't really like it. Now, I've given a multitude of reasons as to why the classic series Vilgax is better than the rest. But which one is the definitive answer? And is there a really definitive answer to this? Well, for me, yes there is, and it's kind of just a mixture of all of these. Everything kind of put together with his fantastic story and motivations and his design and everything just put together in the classic series was just done so much better, so much more harmonically, and so much more appealing to the fans, while the rest of them, I guess they wanted to focus on other villains since they already did Vilgax in the classic series and he was already the big bad. Maybe, in my opinion at least, they should have focused on other villains more and maybe not even introduced him in Alien Force at all. But yeah, it's just Vilgax in Classic was just done better. So that's it. That is why Classic Vilgax is better than the rest and why people like him more. And listen, I don't know how many times I keep after reiterating in these videos, but this is just my opinion, this is just what I think, or mostly what I think and generally what the fans think as well. But anyway guys, thank you for watching this video so much, I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe because I think like 90% of you guys aren't, so if you want to subscribe then that would really make me feel nice, and if you didn't then I wouldn't do anything. But yeah, that's all I really got to say for now. I'm Rizzyrez, and until next time, I'll see you later. Peace.